So I did a small music course with DJ Suketu. I don't know, wedding DJs make a lot of money.
What kind of money do wedding DJs make
I
compared
don't
to
know,
the
it could be anywhere from 5 lakhs to 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs, you know. It
per,
just
per month or per year?
No, per gig. So as a beginner DJ, yeah, I would say expect anywhere from say 5 to 15,000 bucks
Per gig.
per gig. Yeah, course is mainly your basics.
Basics.
You know, your beats, your bars, your phrases. These are the main things, music theory wise, that one should kind of know. Then it comes down to the DJing skill and technique of queuing a track. But there are also old, like this is one DJ, Raja Ram, you know, he's a psychedelic guy. And he's probably 80 or something, man.
Oh.
And he's still rocking the dance floors. He plays at festivals. So once you make $100, then whatever profit comes, it's split 50-50. Basically, 50% the label keeps and 50% goes to the artist. Nothing good and sustainable is quick, because the faster you rise, the faster you're going to fall.
Hi all, welcome to the Strategic Pulse. I'm your host Sudarshan Praveen. Today we have Karan, going by the stage name of Folic State, as our podcast guest. He is a producer and a DJ. In this episode, we will discuss about what does it realistically take to become a DJ in India today. What are the various sources of income for a DJ? What kind of income can a DJ expect? How does a DJ get associated with record labels? And a blueprint of how this profession works. Stay tuned and watch the entire episode. Thank you. So hi Karan, thank you for taking the time and joining us today. For all of our viewers who are meeting you for the first time, can you briefly introduce yourself?
So first of all, thanks for the invitation. I'm Karan, also goes by Folic State. I'm a techno producer and DJ. I've been performing since 2009
Wow.
and releasing music since 2014. So
Okay.
it's been quite a long journey. And yeah, before that, we would play private parties for
Okay.
friends unofficially.
Okay.
But like the official first gig was 2009 in this bar in Kulaba.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I do. And I also make a little bit of ambient music, background scores for projects, depending on, you know, how much time I have and if the project's exciting enough. But you need to branch out also from the regular music production that I do, like for the dance floors.
Okay. How did you get into this profession?
So I've always been into music. Like my family, they were into music.
Okay.
Parents, mom and dad. So like when we go to school, you know, there would be music or MTV and Channel V at that time. That was on. So we were always inclined, and all our house parties when parents had their friends over,
Okay.
there was always music going on. So we just grew up in that household where there was a lot of music.
Okay.
And when my brother was in college, so he's like 4 years older, so of course he had everything first, and you know, then it kind of brushed on to me.
Right.
So I got into psychedelic music.
Okay.
I would say 7th, 8th grade.
Can you explain in simple words what that means to our viewers? Psychedelic music is?
It's basically trancey music, repetitive beats with you know, very cool, very different textures. It's more trancey, I would say,
Okay.
like, you know, very loopy, and
Okay.
it's got literally just beats and melodies and a lot of percussion and drum work and atmospheres also.
Okay.
You know, basically no vocals.
Okay.
So I got into that, and then that was the era when that music was pretty big in our country and also
Which year
in
was
Bombay.
this?
This was really early on, early 2000s,
Okay.
like late 90s, 2000s.
Right.
And yeah, so that was my first introduction to that style.
Okay.
And as in me and a few friends, we would go to like Mud Island to our friends' bungalows
Okay.
and have our own parties, you know,
Okay.
30, 40 people, 20 people.
Right.
And I was also very fascinated by what I would see in clubs. This was before this whole thing that we did. The DJs playing, and
Right.
there's the whole atmosphere, and you know, just the music was a
Right.
vibe.
Right.
So, you know, we also really wanted to do that. And gradually over the years, we started learning how to DJ just by ourselves, like me and a few friends.
Just by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how we played our unofficial gigs and whatever. I wouldn't say it's a gig, it's just like a party with
Right.
friends.
Right.
So that's how it all basically began.
Okay.
A few international artists would come to India. And that time there was Fire and Ice.
Okay.
This really big, iconic club,
Okay.
which was in Lower Parel.
Okay.
And That's where most of these parties used to happen.
Okay.
Also, a lot of raves back in the day
Yeah.
in Karjat and Lonavala and those kind of things. So
Right.
yeah, that was like the early days and the introduction to this style of music.
Okay.
But then in 2020, in 2000, what are we at? 26 shit. In 2006, I kind of shifted from psychedelic to more houseier and slightly lower BPM, techno, tech house, kind of, the more mellow space of things. So yeah,
Okay.
that's where the whole Folic State project also kind of, the seed was planted then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you got your first gig in 2009.
Yeah.
And how did you get this gig and what was the first pay like?
So it came through a friend of mine. Her father owned this bar in Colaba. And before that, I used to play for our friends' parties, right? So that's when everyone heard this music. And house at that time was quite a big thing, also quite new because a lot of clubs back then would play Bollywood or commercial, like, hip hop and
Right.
those kind of sounds. So house was quite new to people in the cities. And at that time, I remember it was progressive house, a little bit of commercial house. So that was like the new cool, sound and something different. So which we play at parties, and then she was like, "Wow, whatever, let's do this. I'll get you a gig here," and that's how it began. And the first pay was $5,000.
Okay. So in 2000, and that's not bad, right? Actually.
I really don't know. Maybe it's okay, maybe it's good, but to anyone to start with, I think anything's okay because if this is what you want to do,
Right.
you got to really hustle, and a lot of people actually play the first few gigs for free because they want exposure or they want to be heard or whatever. But I was lucky to actually get paid for my first gig, and then that went off really well. So then that became a residency.
Okay.
So then I was playing once a week. I think it was Thursday or Friday. So every week I was playing at that bar for almost a month or two.
Okay.
And once that kind of happened, then people just come, like other bar owners or like venue owners, they come and hear you. And that's when I started playing for Olive. They used to have Olive Bar and Restaurant.
Yeah, I've heard, yeah.
So they used to have a place at the racecourse.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, she was also managing part of the PR or something, the marketing of the restaurant.
Right.
And that's where I also started doing a sundowner with them. So then that also became a residency thing. I would play there for hours.
Okay.
So those were the early years of playing, and yeah, that's all I can remember right now.
So you completed your 12th and graduation in Mumbai itself?
Yeah. So I did 12th, then I did my BCom and Jai Hind.
Okay.
And after that, I had no idea what I want to do because, I didn't really want to do a job. And I knew I wanted to do something in music. I just didn't know what at that time. And at that time also to explain to your parents that, okay, fine, this is what I want to do was tricky. But they were still
Was it though? Because they were also from music industry.
Yeah, so they were supportive. They were very supportive, like, from the beginning. But at the same time, you don't know how much money you're going to make, or you don't know where you stand. Is it going to be sustainable? Because the entertainment industry is quite volatile. Like you can have some months which are fantastic and some months which are really not so good.
Right.
As opposed to having a proper 9-to-5 job with a steady salary and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
So initially, yes, they were little okay because so until then it's all cool, it's all fun.
Right.
But when it gets to reality, like it's your
it was
income and stuff
profession,
like that.
yeah.
That's when also fine they thought, but whatever, they've been super supportive from the get go, so that was not a problem.
Okay.
And yeah,
What do they do in the music industry?
who?
Your parents?
Oh, they're not from the industry. They're just music enthusiasts.
Okay.
Yeah. So they just love, they just like music, like all sorts
But
of music.
their professional front was something else. They were not in the music.
Yeah. So
Okay.
mom was a housewife, dad was a interior designer and architect.
Okay.
So yeah, poles apart, but
Okay.
yeah, but like the household was, the core was music.
Music.
Still is, like he
Okay.
listens to all his records, and sometimes he would watch shows online, like concerts, sometimes
Okay.
even go for a few together.
Okay.
So yeah, that's cool.
So you mentioned that you learned it along with your friends by yourself.
Yeah.
But say someone listening to this podcast right now, what's the best way for a beginner to learn DJing?
One would be so there are two methods now. I mean, not methods, but like ways to perform. You have like laptop DJs, or you have DJs who actually play on the CDJs on the console.
Okay.
Now, definitely would recommend people to learn the right way, learn on CDJs and a mixer rather than just a computer.
Okay.
But a lot of artists these days use computers. I mean, DJs upcoming, they learn on that because it's much faster. But that's something I wouldn't really recommend. You can, I mean, yeah, take online tutorials, or if you're rich enough, then buy yourself a console and just practice at home. So it's not
Okay.
that difficult these days because there's just so many more options now, and it's not that people have any less and lack of money.
So is there a structured way to learn this, or you have to just YouTube it, online tutorials? Those are the only ways.
Not really. I mean, there is a basic method of how to DJ. You got to cue your track, you got to beat match your track, but all these things are also available online. So
Okay,
yeah,
for free.
Yeah. There,
Okay.
there are many tutorials that teach you how to go about things and how to just play, how to begin. Like even music production, you name it these days, everything's online.
But there's no school or an
There
academy.
there are quite a few schools.
Okay.
There are quite a few schools.
But would you
and-
recommend joining them, or is it?
I would definitely, because I mean, you get to learn a lot more. You also like meet your peers or different students and whatever. It's always good to be around like a community.
Right.
And but for some people, they like to learn on their own. So, for example, like me, we didn't go to any what do you say?
Structured way to
yeah,
learn.
like
Yeah.
a college or a school.
Yeah.
We learned on so there's Denon and Pioneer, these main two companies that have equipments apart from the others. And so we learned on Denons at a friend's in the house, basically, by just messing around and playing and stuff like that. And then later, to hone my skills and just get better, because universally they were using Pioneer CD players and mixers and stuff like that, which was slightly different from Denon. So I did a small music course with DJ Suketu.
Oh.
So
okay.
yeah, he's a very, very close family friend.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I happened to go there and just get better at it maybe, and just get used to that console and that structure of how things are.
Right.
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend somebody who can't afford this at home to definitely go to a course or a school where they teach DJing. And if you have the bucks, then maybe buy yourself equipment.
How much does it cost?
So there are many variants and models. Like
What is the
this-
range like?
I would say from about 1 lakh to about 7 lakhs.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
You get cheaper controllers. But now those controllers are when you have a laptop.
Okay.
But like a proper console, when you have CDJs or mixer, that would be 3-4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, depending on what model you buy. So
Anything which you would specifically recommend to our viewers to begin with?
Yeah. If you're beginning, just begin with the best.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so, because technology is changing so fast. Like you probably buy a certain model now. Wow, now maybe whatever now, and within a few months or maybe like a year, you have something new. So I would recommend you learn on the best, because you
Okay.
have all the features at your fingertips, and you don't waste time
Okay.
in figuring when something's new or what do you do. So
But when something new comes, do you have to keep upgrading, or you're
no. So technically, you don't have to upgrade yourself,
Huh.
because the fundas are pretty much the same.
Okay.
That doesn't change. It's just the features and a bit of the characteristics and how you go about things, or what else can you do. Those are things that change. Like basically, I forgot the word. Whatever. Your fundas don't change. So
Okay.
you can definitely learn on a cheaper model, slightly lower grade model. But if you're starting, then just learn from whatever is up to date.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why I feel going to school makes sense, because they have various models and categories of CD players and mixers and stuff like that. So you don't have to invest in that stuff.
So, is there any famous school which you would probably recommend, which for our viewers to learn from?
Yeah, there is the Music Inc., which is Suketu's shit. I hope I got the name right.
Okay.
Then there's another one in Bangalore. sorry, my names are really bad, but it's
Okay.
by DJ Clement. I think it's called the Music School.
Okay.
Then we had one more in Lower Parel. Again, I forget the name.
How long does it, how long are these courses for, and typically how much do these
I
courses
would
cost?
probably think so. Some of them go by hours. Some of them go by like 1 month or like 20 hours, 18 hours.
And
a
how much do
month.
these typically cost?
I would say maybe 30,000 to about 50,000 bucks.
Okay, so
Just for a DJing course, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Not production, but just DJing.
Can you tell the difference between DJing and production?
DJing is you're literally just mixing 2 tracks or 3 tracks or maybe even 4 tracks live at a club or a bar, whatever, and that basically means you're playing non-stop music for an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, or however long the night is or your set is. And production is you're literally composing the song, from like
Oh,
from A to Z, literally, like from
Okay.
scratch.
okay.
So that is the difference. Here you're making the track, and DJing is you are just
Mixing the tracks.
playing it and performing it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's pretty much. It's a huge difference. They're two
Yeah.
like different worlds.
Different,
Yeah.
So there are also various types of DJs, right? Like club DJs, wedding DJs.
Yeah.
So which path is sustainable in today's time, and how are these paths different?
I would say they're all pretty much the same. Actually, it's just the crowd and the environment and the music that's different. Because every DJ, no matter you're a wedding DJ, club DJ, it's still hectic. It's still stressful. It's still long hours.
Okay.
For weddings during wedding seasons, I know a few friends who are wedding DJs and they're traveling like non-stop.
Non-stop.
Pretty much like touring DJs and festival DJs, they're pretty much on the go through the weekend, and then some of them have families, so it gets really hectic to manage everything and lack of sleep and stuff like that. So I mean, it's all hectic. Then it comes down to the music, which is totally different from the question you asked me. But and the most sustainable in India right now, I would say, I don't know, wedding DJs make a lot of money.
Okay.
Because I mean, anything commercial would be slightly higher paid.
What kind of money do wedding DJs make
I
compared
don't
to
know.
the
It could be anywhere from 5 lakhs to 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs. It just
per month or per year?
no, per gig. Yeah, per
Oh.
gig.
Oh.
Sometimes 2 lakhs, sometimes 3. So it depends basically how good you are, how known you are, and how big you are up the hierarchy of DJs.
And how
Yeah.
many gigs do usually DJs take up in a month?
What kind of DJs?
Wedding DJs, for example.
It depends how good they are. If they're booked, some of them are booked pretty much every weekend. Like, how it is November, December, Jan, Feb. So
Okay.
December is usually, December is usually the most busiest month for
Okay.
weddings, even October onwards or whatever. That's like season time.
So,
So-
you're talking about the top DJs, right? They're making this kind of money. I'm talking about somebody who's just starting
Who's
out.
just starting off? Okay, fine. So then I don't know. I mean, it depends how good they are and also their connections and who their clients are. If the clients can afford big money, yeah, fine. Maybe they can ask for 50,000 or a lakh or whatever to begin with. I don't
So
know.
to put it in simple terms, if they are just beginning and they're fairly decent,
Yeah.
they can charge somewhere in the range of 50,000 per gig. So, and they can do once every weekend.
Yeah,
Something
I
on
would
those
think so.
lines.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
because for weddings you do play for long hours. You take a lot of music requests, and there's no time structure to it, unless it's in your contract that you're just playing for 2 hours. You're playing for 3 hours.
What about the other kinds of DJs besides the wedding ones?
So club DJs also it's the same. So if you're starting out as a club, it's going to be really less. Like when I started, it was $5,000. So now it'll probably be 10 or 15,000 bucks. There are some cities, where DJs play and they're paid peanuts, maybe 2,000-3,000 bucks.
Okay.
When you start. So I mean, a lot of them really don't mind because they want the exposure, they want to be there, they want people to hear the music, stuff like that. So as a beginner DJ, yeah, I would say expect anywhere from say 5 to 15,000 bucks
Per gig.
per gig. Yeah.
Okay. And would you recommend them to choose any specific DJ path? Like say wedding, like you said, it pays more, or would you recommend to just figure it out on their own?
It depends what music they like, man. Like
Can we categorize it? Ki if
What?
you like this kind of music, you can go towards this path or something.
Not really, yeah. Like,
Okay.
it depends solely on what music you like and where you want to be and what you really want to do, like, and what makes you happy at the end of the day. You do that because it's fun and we like to,
Right.
It's not something that we have to because it's a job or something.
Absolutely.
Like, I've chosen to be a slightly more deeper underground artist than a mainstream artist. Now, if I went mainstream, maybe I would probably make 10x the amount of money I make now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really what your soul wants, what you want, and sometimes people can also be underground DJs, but for money go and play a wedding, or like, go play Bollywood in a club.
Okay.
So it really depends where you want to play, what style of music you want to play, and what you want to be known for.
Okay.
So that's a choice the DJ, whoever,
So when you say
needs to make.
underground DJ, what do you
Yeah.
mean by that exactly?
So underground is it's really the word has been so misused, lately. But it's more deeper music. It's more non-mainstream music. Slightly for maybe more niche audience,
Okay.
and something out of the regular.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and what really comes under that genre is techno, minimal techno, psychedelic techno, hypnotic techno. I mean, these days there's so many different subgenres of techno and like different genres. So it's hard to really pinpoint on a few. But yeah, on a large spectrum, it's more the deeper, nuanced sound. Yeah, which is not mainstream.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier that a producer and a DJ are two different kinds
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
people. So, doesn't DJ need to eventually be a producer to grow in his or her career, or can they be completely two different
Not
separate
necessarily.
Okay.
Like, it's really good to, give your hand and try and produce music also.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily that a DJ has to produce music, but of course it's an added bonus. Um, and sometimes a good DJ can be a very bad producer, and a good producer can be a very bad DJ. It's not
Okay.
the same thing, and both can't be. Some of them are great both, and some just suck at one, dude. So like, but I would say always try and produce your own music, because especially in cities like us, like in India, where the scene is still growing, sometimes you need a step up, right? Like, if you're just playing music, you're just playing music. But if you have your own music, then you're performing your own music, and you're probably known for something a lot more. Like, because anyone can really DJ. It takes a while to be a good DJ, but producing your own music and playing your own music, has its own little satisfaction and weight to perform, and also to like just get something new to the table.
And as per you, what is the realistic timeline for a person to be a good DJ?
What do you mean, age-wise?
No. I mean the time they have to spend to become a DJ.
Okay. Man, it's endless. It's endless. Like, I mean, of course, you start, I would say 1-2 years.
1-2 years.
It depends how much you practice, because the more you practice, the better you get. Like, if you practice every day for 6 months, you'll probably be amazing. You don't have to spend like one year. But DJing also is an art, it's a skill, it's a craft.
Right.
So as you go, you keep learning new things, you keep learning new tricks and new ways to mix and stuff like that. So it's quite an endless thing. But if you just ask me how, like, just basic mixing, 6 months, 1 year to be really good,
And once they are good at what they do, how do they start making money? What are the different revenue streams for a DJ?
It's pretty much club gigs, private gigs, brand endorsements. What else? Festivals. Yeah, so
Okay.
you're quite limited to that stuff. But then it's mainly these 4-5 avenues where you can DJ. And now your maximum, I think, would be clubs, private events, and brand endorsements. Again, depends what music you're playing.
But all this depends on word of mouth eventually. Or is there a way to?
No. So you can have. I mean, if you're really good and if you can't manage the bookings yourself, you can have an agency managing you.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of DJs have management companies and booking agencies handling their bookings.
Okay.
Yeah. So the artists can really focus on their work, do whatever they have to do, and your agency or your agent will call venues or
Okay.
festivals and basically pitch gigs for
perfect.
you. Yeah. So that's how it kind of works.
So they'll take a cut based on
They take a cut. Yeah, they take anywhere from 10 to 20%, and
per gig.
per gig. Yeah.
Okay.
The average is about 15.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the commission they take.
And would you recommend any famous agencies?
There's Musifix that handles my bookings. Then there's Catnip Frequency from Goa. They're also pretty good, and there are a few that again, I'm terrible with names,
Okay.
but yeah, there are a few. Yeah, you
Okay.
know, there's Shark and Ink also. It's from by Arjun, a very good friend of mine based in Bombay, and they also handle some really really good talent.
Okay.
Some pretty big and famous DJs and artists. So, yeah.
But doesn't it get competitive for them? For example, if two DJs who are playing similar style,
Yeah.
on what basis would they pitch the DJ to the venue or the event? Because
Good question, man. Not even I don't know how they do it.
okay.
I have no idea because I mean, because see, every DJ brings a different flavor.
Okay.
You know, like of how to mix or their style. Every DJ, some of us we don't share music with each other because,
Okay.
yeah, because what's the point? Like you say you're a DJ, I give some of my tracks to you, you're playing that, you give me. So then there's no difference, right? So the whole idea of a good DJ is to sit for hours. We actually sit for hours buying music and searching for good music to play in our sets. Because a lot of people think like, okay, fine, this guy just come, he's playing music for 2 hours and boom, he's out. No, but they don't see what goes on behind that. By spending hours searching for good music, there's so much now and there's so much shit music also. So it takes a lot of time to actually dig out good music, which is part of your playlist and stuff like that. And you don't know what time you're playing. Sometimes at a club, let's supposedly say it goes on till about 6, 7 in the morning. You don't know if you're playing an opening set, you're playing a middle set, a headlining set, or a closing set. Now, depending on what time you're playing of the night, you need to play a particular style of music. Like say if you're opening, for example, you can't play a hard set. You got to ease it in. You got to play softer, respect the DJ who's playing after you.
Okay.
So these kind of things you really need to keep in mind before you perform anywhere you perform.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Are there any red flags which a DJ should look out for when they are signing any contracts?
Yeah, I mean, I would say red flags, but basically just do your research on who's booking you. Are they good paymasters? Because I would advise everybody to take advance payments now, because there have been situations with me, colleagues, a lot of other people where you're promised a certain payment and then it doesn't come through. Either half of it comes through and the whole thing doesn't come through, because the industry works really strangely actually, because they have like a 30-day window or a 60 or a 90-day window where your payment comes through.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come immediately.
So most times we do an advance payment.
Advance of how much percent? Or full? Full advance?
We ask for full, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we ask for full, and
Okay.
sometimes maybe it's 50%. Again, it all depends who you're working with, because if it's friends and people we know,
Right.
then we're also a little lenient about it. But if it's someone we're working for the first time, then it has to be a full upfront, 100% advance. And then we go about things, either promoting the event or whatever. Actually, maybe we only start promoting the event once we get the money.
Okay.
Because there are times where, as I said, they fail to make the payment and they just disappear. So, yeah, I would recommend people to watch out for that. Communicate, have everything in writing, not phone conversations, because, that's not how it is.
Okay.
And, just be a little careful on these fronts, and also get the information about the club, about the event, how many people are supposedly going to attend, what the ticket pricing is. These kind of details I think a DJ should know before he or she wants to accept a gig or play at a gig.
But won't the management agency who's handling it for the DJ take care of all this, or?
They would get all the information, but then it has to be passed on to the DJ, right?
Okay.
So they will find out whatever they have to, and
Okay.
so It's very important for the DJ to know these things. Or I would not say DJ, just the artist, whoever's
Artist.
performing.
Right.
Yeah. So just to have basic understanding, and sometimes there's also situations where an artist's friend, for example, who hosts a party. So then the artists themselves get lenient, where it's okay, come on, it's okay, they'll send the money, blah blah blah. So these kind of things happen in the scene, but like for somebody who's beginning and who needs to know what to do, what not to do, yeah, these are the few things to kind of keep in mind, and then move on. Yeah.
And is it necessary for them to have a social media presence?
Oh yeah, man. Like I think these days artists are booked just basis that. I don't think they give a fuck about skill.
Okay.
Sadly, that's what it's come to. Yeah, a lot of people actually see and check your social media for bookings, especially in this day and age.
Any specific platform which they check?
It's just Instagram now.
Instagram.
Everything is just come down to Instagram. I mean, see, we don't have TikTok here, so it's not big. But yeah, largely it is Instagram, basis your followers and like the content you post and stuff like that, because sadly it has become a content game. It has become a whole influencer game. Like venues and other establishments, they just want money. I mean, very few people now care about quality of music, which few of us are trying to still retain. And there are some venues and owners who love like good music and who really stick to what they believe in and the sound they want to push out, even though they don't make so much money, So those are the guys, the real guys. But there are some who are just in it for the quick buck, and they just want a big name or a social butterfly, to just come and play. And
so when you're posting music online and even when you're performing at events, how does the copyright and this legal system work in terms of DJing?
Yeah, that also, it doesn't work so much for our sound because, as I said, it's more underground music, it's more global music. So I've never really had that issue. See, we buy our music, so it's still legal. Like the music we play is bought by us, and also some of the music is sent to us by labels or by artists. So we've never had that issue with licensing, but maybe for more mainstream and commercial music in Bollywood and stuff like that, I think there is when this kind of stuff comes up where you need to obtain a PPL license or. I think the venue sorts that out for you.
Achha.
I don't think the artist needs to, I've really never needed to like get into that, so I don't know,
Okay.
But for commercial music, I know it's a lot more stricter.
Okay.
And also for establishments playing music, So yeah, I got to be really careful about that. Okay. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
And how do you handle crowd when it's not, responding to the energies which you're trying to give?
Oh, yeah. So it's happened to us many times, and the thing is, now you have a DJ who's a people's DJ, or you have a DJ who's just playing for themselves. Means, you play what you like, but you wanna also basically educate the audience to the music you like.
Okay.
As opposed to a DJ playing music what the audience likes.
Right.
So there are times where we've had people not understanding the kind of music we play. Of course, we try and change it around, but just to our spectrum of sound, like not just play entirely something different or whatever. So I don't think it's a thing to worry about. Maybe that's just not the venue you're supposed to play. That's not your audience.
Okay.
Because as an artist, as I said, I'm not a commercial DJ and I'm a producer. So I would want to play music that I produce and the music that I like. And I'm sure maybe a handful will understand it, hopefully. And even if they don't, it's okay. Our duty is to educate them on newer sounds, on new styles of music,
Okay.
So the more you give them that, maybe they get used to it or they start liking it. But then if you just give them the same shit that they like, what's the difference? There's nothing new. There's no, There's no flavor, you know what I mean? You just
Right.
don't feel right. It's just them listening to the same stuff they hear. So yeah, don't bother. Of course, try and change things around. Maybe play something more faster, something slower, depending on what the vibe is, you know. And if they still don't get it, then it's probably you're not just meant to play there, you know.
But is there something which separates an average DJ set compared to a memorable one?
Yeah, of course. So, like few things that really make a DJ stand out is, of course, your senses, your taste of music,
Okay.
your music, your track selection. When you're playing a set, you know, like what track to play when and what track to drop when. That's super important. The way you mix two songs, very important. How you mix them, when you bring up a second track or a third track, or you know, these kind of things really add up to a good DJ, as opposed to somebody who doesn't know all this stuff and who's just mixing either very fast or without the use of the EQ on the mixer, a very harsh mix or very smooth mix, you know. So yeah, these things really tell the difference between an average DJ and
Memorable
a
one.
memorable one. And also, yeah, it's basically also how they perform, right? Like the tracks they play and the way they play it. I think it's very important.
And all this will be learned on the job, like hands-on experience, or will they learn this all in the courses which you mentioned?
So very little bit on the course. Yeah, see, the course is mainly your basics.
Basics.
You know, your beats, your bars, your phrases. These are the main things, music theory wise, that one should kind of know. Then it comes down to the DJing skill and technique of queuing a track. Queuing a track basically means you pause it or you cue it on the beat of the track, and then that's when you hit play. Like, you know, so you have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Those are your beats. So your beats, your bars, and your phrases are very important to understand. So all this stuff will be taught to you at the wherever you go to learn. But overall, I think it's more hands-on. You know, the more you play and the more exposure you get, you learn a lot more. And sometimes also you learn a lot more because now see, when you go to any class or any teacher for whatever, any field, they will teach you the way they've learned it, right? They will teach you the way they know stuff. So you are literally just learning what that person knows. But once you start going out in the field, I mean, in the clubs or whatever, and learning or just playing, you never know. You might meet somebody else. They may teach you a trick. They may teach you something else. So you'll definitely learn a lot more hands-on. But yeah, your basics need to be tight wherever, either hands-on or the school, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is DJing a young person's game? Because
No, not really. Yeah.
Not really?
No. There are quite old DJs. Old in the sense elderly. I wouldn't say old. But there are also old. Like this is one DJ, Raja Ram, you know, he's a psychedelic guy. And he's probably 80 or something, man.
Whoa.
And he's still rocking the dance floors. He plays at festivals.
Wow.
So he's actually an iconic, legendary performer.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's nothing, there's nothing to do with age, you know.
Okay.
You have very, very famous elderly, whatever, like, you know, around 50 years old, 60 years old, who are still killing it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with age, man.
You mentioned earlier that you go by the stage name Folic State,
Yeah.
but your actual name is Karan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does that matter? Do you have to have a different identity as an artist?
No, not really. Yeah, not really. I don't know. Also, first of all, I don't even know how the name came up. Like, you know, I get asked a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So it came up in 2011 or 12.
Okay.
I think I don't know what was going on, and I just can't remember. You know, it's so strange. This is one thing about my career that I don't know how the name formed.
Okay.
You know, I really can't remember. So I don't know. It's just weird, you know, to not know that.
So, does it help to have a different artist name compared to your real name?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so, because there are many artists also who just use their name and they perform, you know. So I think it's just an individual thing, perspective, vibe, attitude, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool, but a lot of people play with their own names. Yeah.
Okay. And while researching about you, we noticed that you have released a lot of EPs. So, to our audience, can you explain what that means and how is this different from like single tracks?
So EP stands for extended play. It's basically, in simple terms, it is smaller albums.
Okay.
Okay, now one album typically would have about 8 to 10, 11 tracks, and an EP would be 4 to 5 songs. Uh, Now, I think it's easier. Even I've never really like dived into this thought, but I just think it's easier for people to release shorter albums, EPs, than produce albums, because albums take a lot of time. So 1 year, 2 years sometimes.
Oh.
To really produce a good album takes a lot of time. It's not easy. Like, production is not easy. You also need to be in a good frame of mind, mood, whatever. So it's not that hard. But yeah, EPs, I would say, as compared to singles, you asked me, right?
Yeah.
Now singles, I mean, it depends. Like, if you've made a bunch of tracks, depending, I don't know how many tracks, say 10, 15 tracks do you have. Now, if 3, 4 tracks fit the same vibe and they kind of flow together, they work together, has same character, yeah, you can like bunch them up into an EP and release it as an EP. Whereas, say you have 4 or 5 songs, now each song, each track, they're slightly different, or they have different tone or whatever, then you can slot them at a single in a compilation or a VA or something like that. And
Okay.
I would prefer VAs. I mean, sorry, EPs, because VA sometimes it depends also.
What is VA?
Various artists? So basically, every compilation.
Huh.
You have compilations that are compiled by labels, and you have about 10 tracks to 15 tracks to 8 tracks on that. Basically, it's called various artists. So
Okay.
you have multiple artists, basically.
Hmm.
So that's where you can drop a single. One track, you can
Okay.
have it on the compilation,
Okay.
or you just release a single by itself, on a label. But I mean, most labels don't do that. They rather release an EP. It's also beneficial economically,
Right.
And if you want to release a single, then compilations are also good. But I would say not a compilation that has more than 10 tracks,
Okay.
because then your track could get lost within all those tracks, And these days, the lifespan of a track, dude, it's really small.
How small?
I would say sometimes people would forget in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah,
It takes almost how long to produce a track?
I don't know. It depends. I mean, you can have a track made in 3 days, 4 days, sometimes
Okay.
a month.
Okay.
It depends how much of in a flow you are, or like, if it's all working out, no.
Right.
So that could take a long time, 1 month. Sometimes, you sit on it for a few weeks over and over. Otherwise, you just sit on it continuously for a few days and the track's done. But because there's so much music now, and many more releases since everything's gone online, there's just so much music. Like, how do you consume everything? Like,
Yeah.
say today, tomorrow, you release one track. The next 3, 4 days, there are millions of other releases coming up.
Correct.
Your track's gone, man. Like,
So how do we catch up then?
you got to keep at it. You just got to keep releasing as frequent as possible, and release with really good labels who have a good audience and a good reach. So because that helps your music to reach out to their audience and a lot more people.
Can you
know.
name a few labels for beginners to reach out, start with?
For the music of my style of music, which is more techno, minimal techno, I would say Superb Records, Universal Tribe, Kafka Tempo. There's also Subtrail. Superb is actually the first Indian minimal techno label, owned by very good friends of mine, Ash and Ashwin. Subtrail also is another Indian label, by again 2 very good friends, Rohan and Uddhav. So yeah, these are there. And international is what I mentioned, Universal Tribe. Then there's also Subius Records, Kafka Tempo. Alpaca is also a fast-growing record label from Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
So you just reach out to them once you're created. How does this process work?
Yeah. So the process is basically, if now I'll tell you how my first EP happened. I produced 4 tracks, and I didn't know what to do, where to send it to. And my first option was Superb Records, because whatever, it's a relatively new label. I think they had only 9 releases until then. And so I just mail them my tracks, have a listen, and if you like it, let me know, and it'll be nice to release on the label. And then I got back. I mean, I heard back from them, and they really liked the tracks. They're like, "Yeah, cool. We'll release it." Then I sent them one more track, the fifth track, because I kind of produced it in the meanwhile.
Okay.
Since I sent them the email and all
Huh.
that stuff. So they liked it, and they wrote back, and then they asked you for pre-master. Now a pre-master is basically once you complete your production of your track, you got to send it to them at a slightly lower volume. Minus 6 dB is the industry standard, so that when they send it to the mastering engineer, now the mastering is the last process of your final track.
Okay.
It's like a guy or like a carpenter coming. He finishes everything. Then you get the polished guy, right? Who like does
Yeah.
the finesse
Yeah,
and
yeah.
makes it smooth and
Right.
nice, right? So that's what the mastering guy does. He
Okay.
really like enhances your track and he
Okay.
makes it sound alive, And so I basically just send them that, and that's how my first EP released, and that is pretty much the process. What one should do if they want to release.
So just cold reach out.
Yeah. Just make sure you have at least 3 to 4 tracks,
Okay.
because in case they don't like one or two, they still have a few tracks which they can release. So ideally, I would say 4 tracks is a good amount to send to labels. When you send them an email, introduce yourself, tell them who you are, what you do, where you come from. Just describe your tracks, in briefly what style they are, whatever, and just email the label and just hope to hear from them because some of them don't even reply.
And how
because-
do you price it? Like initially when you're starting out.
Yeah, so funny story. Gone are the days where you can charge for your track as it's signed. Yeah.
So how does this work then?
So basically, earlier it used to work where like say you're a record label, you buy something from me, boom, you just pay me for the track, and that's yours. You own the
Right,
rights, right?
yeah.
Now, because of everything going digital, the label and the artist, they split the sales 50%. So basically, let me put it in an easier way. Your royalties or whatever you get. So you don't get, first of all, you don't get upfront money.
Okay.
You sign the track from these guys or whatever the label, and they will do all the needful where your distribution is concerned, your artwork for the label is concerned, your mastering, and what else? And your promotions, basically.
Okay.
They take care of that stuff,
Okay.
right? And once the track sells or crosses $100, that's when every artist now makes money. So once you make $100, then whatever profit comes, it's split 50-50. Basically, 50% the label keeps and 50% goes to the artist.
Oh.
So you don't make a lot of money,
Initially.
initially while producing.
Okay.
But yeah, in the long run, the more you release, the more you get, and you just have to, it has to be good music.
And how do you balance this along with you being a DJ as well? Because you'll be having events to attend.
Yeah,
And
for
then you
sure.
also have to focus on creating new, producing new
Yeah.
music. And so how do you manage your
It's
time?
tough, man. Like, it's not easy because your mindset is so different sometimes. You're also tired with all the travel, going for events, playing your own gigs, whatever, so you just have to make time. You have to have full focus, a very clear mind, because it's also it's art, right? So you can't have a foggy brain,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
you can't have like something harrowing going on where you won't be able to focus.
Hmm.
So it's very important to be, and at peace with whatever you're doing. And your mind basically has to be clear
Right.
to focus on making music. And I think the weekdays are when you can actually devote time to producing, because weekends you're traveling for gigs.
Right.
You kind of take 1 or 2 days just to recover from your weekends. So then you're left with whatever 2-3 days of the
days
week
to-
to like
yeah.
produce until you travel again.
Again.
So yeah, and the thing is, as you start producing and as you start traveling, you'll kind of find a sweet spot
You build a
where you do this. But there are times where we go through a writer's block. Like, the last track I wrote was sometime in December.
2025.
And, yeah.
That's
And-
recent, right?
Yeah, recent. But I mean, knowing me, I mean, usually I produce quite often,
Okay.
almost I would say 3-4 days a week.
Oh.
And yeah. And I haven't, like, since the year started, I haven't worked on anything. I've just taken a break from production because there was just so much that released last year.
Okay.
I was out of juice, man. Like, I was really done, and um I just needed that break.
Okay.
Just to like regain all your thoughts or
Right.
ideas, and you never know when the inspiration hits. But yeah, I was quite done.
Okay.
So yeah, it's hard when you're actually traveling a lot, especially in busy seasons. Yeah.
And when you start a new track and when you're producing a new music, what are the first few steps like?
So I always start with a kick and bass.
Okay.
So kick is basically your drum beat,
Okay.
and your bass is like your bass line. So I always start with that, and then build on that with drums and other percussive instruments. Maybe sometimes also atmospheres, textures, just to basically get a rhythm going on, get a drive, start feeling it. If I feel it, okay, fine, then I can build on. So for me, that typically is my method.
And how do you know
But
that you're done composing and producing one?
dude, that is so crazy, because we're always very critical on our work. We're always judging the most smallest things, making the most smallest changes that only we know and understand. That okay, fine, we made something, but if I make you hear it, you will be like, it just sounds same.
Yeah.
So these little tiny nuances are very important, actually. To correct and to like work on your mix and just make whatever your track sound better. And I think up until you probably hear it for a million times,
Oh. Okay.
that's when you probably are like, okay, TK, it's done now, and I'm quite satisfied. So you have to hear it. Like sometimes, dude, we get bored of our own tracks because while producing, we've heard it so many times. Because you're stopping, you're playing, you're stopping, you're playing, adding new stuff, whatever. So by the time it's released, you're like, man, chalo, yeah, I'm done with it. You're on to like 3-4 projects ahead. So yeah, it's hard, man. Like it's very difficult to understand it initially, like to when to stop producing, stop overproducing.
Okay.
Because initially hota hai kafi, because you don't know. But gradually with time and as you produce, you try and understand like, okay, cool, it's done now.
And with AI tools and technology, shaping up almost everything, how is it shaping up your industry?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, people are using it. It's definitely helpful. But I just hope people use it for the right reasons, not to kind of just simply produce a track by itself. I would say use it for something you really can't do yourself. If you want to achieve a particular sound, you really can't achieve it, or you want a certain effect, or you want a certain vibe which you really can't do yourself, then okay, fine, maybe use AI to your rescue. But I wouldn't recommend using it just to make your life easier for the heck of it,
Okay.
because that is just taking away your creativity power, and you're just going to become dumber, man. Like because you're not doing anything. You're just making that AI whatever, just putting a prompt. This is coming, it sounds good, theek hai, chalo, track done. I mean, you can't take shortcuts, because eventually somewhere somebody down the line will find out, and you will just be irrelevant then. So I always believe you stay true to what you're doing. Even if it's hard or whatever, try. Use it. I'm not saying don't use it, I'm not against it. But just use it for the right reasons.
Okay.
And when it's really required.
But you don't think AI will take away a lot of jobs?
It's already taking, like for artists, I mean, your designers. Now, earlier, for every EP cover, single cover, any music cover, like people were literally drawing it, sketching it, painting it, or doing it, whatever, animation online. Now, what are they doing, man? Let's just prompts and AI, they're getting a pretty, what do you say, a cover, an artwork, and that's what they're doing. So, suppose like a label would hire X for the creative job. Now, that guy doesn't need to hire him. He straight, use AI and whatever, make his creative. So, in a way, yes, it is
Okay.
diluting it. But the real ones don't use it. The real artists will say, no, man, I don't need it. I'll make my own stuff. But I use it if I really require it. So hopefully that stays on, and, they don't, what do you call it? They don't take away so many
Jobs.
music producers and jobs, yeah. Because I know, like, there are people using it,
Right.
And of course, it's working for them now. Very happy because they're making one track in one day. But aisa nahi hota hai na, yeah, dude. Like, yeah. So, in fact, there's this platform called Bandcamp. It's a music online sales platform which is very good for independent musicians. So, if you don't want to basically release through a label, you just put it on Bandcamp.
Okay.
And then people can buy your tracks from Bandcamp and the money straight comes to you.
Okay.
Of course, Bandcamp will take a small percentage cut or whatever.
Right.
And recently I just saw they put up a post or a story on Instagram that they've come up with a system that can track AI generated songs or something like that.
Okay.
And they won't allow them to be uploaded on their system.
Okay.
So, which is damn good.
Okay.
So hopefully a lot more people use that, so then that whole AI scene will get curtailed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good point, yeah, man. So I was quite impressed to see that and happy.
Right. So we have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Club set or festival set?
Festival.
Studio or stage?
First studio, then stage. Because the studio mein you don't make, then stage there's no fun, yeah.
Right. One myth about electronic music you strongly disagree with?
Oh yeah, maybe one myth is that electronic music and drugs go hand in hand. I think it's not true.
Okay.
You don't have to be on something or to
Right.
consume any substance to enjoy electronic music. It is totally untrue, and I hope that people and authorities also realize that. They don't go hand in hand. Of course, it might be enhancing your experience of whatever you're having, but it is not required and it's not needed, and it doesn't say anywhere that, okay, if you want to enjoy this, you need to be on something. So
Right.
I think that's one myth.
Good point.
Yeah.
Talent or consistency, what matters in the long run?
Consistency, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Underrated skill every DJ should master?
Just to be true to themselves, yeah. That's one skill on its own, because if you are true to what you want to do and however you want to portray your image and career, then things just unfold organically, automatically, yeah. So just be true to yourself as much as you can.
Is there one type of music that almost everyone enjoys?
Techno.
Okay. Best advice you have received as an artist?
Best advice is, again, man, to stay true, stay humble, even if you get great success, keep your feet on the ground and don't let that success get to your head, is like the biggest advice. And let your work do the talking, don't talk too much, yap too much, or beat around the bush. Just stay humble and let your work do all the talking.
So Karan, this almost brings us to the end of the podcast. Would you like to say something additional to our viewers which you have not covered so far, which may probably add value to them? And would you recommend anybody watching this podcast to still pursue DJ as a full-time profession in this age and time?
Yeah, for sure. I would recommend it to everybody.
Okay.
Please, we need good and better DJs. So yeah, please learn DJing, please learn production, and also do not get caught in the rut of success and the whole social media age. All this takes time. There are artists and DJs who've been here for like many years and they're still making the cut or they're still getting known and stuff like that. So it is a very slow process. Nothing good and sustainable is quick, because the faster you rise, the faster you're going to fall. So take your time, don't rush into things, stay true to what you're doing and be very patient.
Okay. Thank you so much, Karan, for taking the time.
Thanks
and
so
joining us
much,
today.
man. This was fun, dude.
Thank you. Same
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you for watching this episode till the very end. If you found this episode to be valuable and insightful, then please like, share and subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comment section below your takeaways from each of our episodes. Thank you.